So as many of you guys might know, the recent Xbox Series X startup screen got announced, and I just want to say right from the get-go, I absolutely love it. It makes me feel cradled like a small child, and the Xbox is gonna be there to kiss me goodnight and make me feel better. But with all sincerity here, I think a lot of recent generation startup sequences have been kinda bad. A lot of people say they like the Xbox 360 startup, and I would agree with them, the original one anyway. But when they released the new Xbox 360 systems, they had different startups and they updated the startup sequence, and I don't like how they changed it. Then I think everyone knows the PS3, the PS4, the Xbox One, all really, really boring, uninteresting startups that are there for way longer than they need to be. So that being said, let's talk about some video game console startups. The best way to describe the PS1 startup is like going beyond, going to the future, just, somewhere that you don't really belong, but you just happen to stumble upon, and it's magical. Like, the human mind can't comprehend the games that you are about to play because they are so advanced to everything else on the market. And for the time, that was pretty true. No popularized system had actually converted to CDs yet, besides for the Sega CD, which was an add-on for the Sega Genesis. Now, for me personally, even though I was born in 2000, I grew up like a 90s kid. Like, we were the PlayStation household, we had the PlayStation 1, and the people across the street, they had the N64. So it's 2005, Kingdom Hearts 2 exists, we have a PlayStation 2, and we've played quite a bit of it, to be honest with you. Yet for some reason we're still attracted to the old PS1 games that we grew up with. Honestly though, I think that's really just a testament to how legendary the PlayStation 1 actually is. Like, even kids back in 2005 when the PlayStation 1 was growing out of popularity, a bunch of kids like us who had modern technology and even the 360 a couple years later, were still coming back and playing these old PlayStation 1 games. And with all that being said, I'll never forget the PlayStation 1 startup screen. The Nintendo Gamecube startup is actually kind of basic. I don't really find it particularly super interesting in its design or anything, but I think that's why I like it so much. It doesn't shove all these noises in your face or like this really cool looking logo, it's just a game and a cube. Yet Nintendo still knows how to have fun with something so basic every time you start up the system, and I absolutely love it. If from the moment you start up the system and you hold the Z button on your controller, it'll do a different intro. And even better than that, if you have 4 controllers and hold the Z button on all of those, then you can do an even cooler Japanese style intro. Now, the Nintendo GameCube, I don't have too much recollection of playing it myself until I was about 4 years old. And the first game I ever remember playing is Super Smash Bros. Melee, which, while a fun, casual game, a lot of people, of course, have taken it to a very competitive level, and it's even been at EVO quite a few times, and it's been a pretty fun spectator sport for me as well. I very much enjoy watching the game. But the year's 2003. Apparently, without any recollection in my mind, I played Mario Kart Double Dash. From what I remember as a kid, we never actually owned this game, and that kinda makes me sad because it's a really damn good game. But after a bit of a recent playthrough not too long ago, I do realize why so many people actually like this one. Though my personal preference for a Mario Kart game is Mario Kart Wii, but Mario Kart Double Dash stands the test of time, absolutely, with its unique co-op system, with one person riding on the back and being able to swap drivers with them. I think that mechanic is absolutely awesome. But all in all, games aside, the GameCube intro itself is just so memorable. I can't really explain it, but it just is. It's so memorable to so many people that back in 2018, from what I remember, there was thousands of GameCube memes that people created. But at the end of the day, the GameCube was exactly what it advertised. A game and a cube, whether the system was off or right when you turned it on. The Sega Dreamcast is mysterious. It's something I'm a really big fan of because every time you start up the console, it gives you this feeling that you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You must be dreaming because the technology of the Dreamcast is so far ahead, and that was another thing that was also true of the time, just like the PlayStation 1. When the Dreamcast came out, it was as strong as the PlayStation 2. No other console matched its power at the time. Dreamcast was the first system that I could think of with any online capabilities whatsoever, and also DLC with the Sega Store that existed on there, and you could browse the internet if you had the Internet 2.0 disc. Another interesting thing about the Dreamcast is that it actually has a different startup whether you have a North American Dreamcast or if you have a PAL Dreamcast. While I don't know much about Dreamcast games in particular, there are a couple of games that were adapted from the Dreamcast that I'm a major fan of, such as Marvel vs. Capcom 2. As far as I know, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike was adapted to Dreamcast and had online on there as well. And another game that I remember playing as a kid was Sonic Adventure 2. I never played the first one until way later, but 2 I know was on the Dreamcast, and I ended up playing it on the Gamecube. And I remember it being a good game as a kid. I really wish there was more for me to say about the Dreamcast. Like, I absolutely love the dream style that it gives off. It's simple, it's got a nice teardrop sound effect to it. It's, in my opinion anyway, has some of the most fun UI sound effects in general. I've even used one throughout this video that I just find so adoring to listen to. But unfortunately, that's about all I really have to say about the Dreamcast. Love the startup though. Finally, that's over. What'd you think of the video, Kitty?
I thought it was fucking terrible and a waste of time.
Making this video really showed me what it was like to actually sit down and treat YouTube as if it were really your job. I really did put a lot of effort into this one. Like, I tried to do as many editing things within reason as possible that I could fit into the video that made sense. And I really did want to make it as quality as I possibly could so the people watching it obviously were pretty entertained, and I mean, I hope I did a good job. Of course, I'm still kind of nervous about it. I don't know if it really is going to be that good, but I even was finally able to make thumbnails. If you pay attention to some of the descriptions I read, I always kind of describe a little bit of what's going on in the background, and thumbnails is one of the big things. I actually had to use something else other than Photoshop because Photoshop kept crashing and it was kind of pissing me off. But that's okay, because we were still able to make a thumbnail for the video, and I think the thumbnail is good enough that it won't be a disappointment or anything, I hope. Either way, this was still a really fun experience working on this video for about 5 hours a day, and I really hope everyone who watches enjoyed watching the video because I enjoyed making it. Thanks for watching.